So I'm going to ask you some questions
Okay.
about recovery. First of all, how old were you when you first started using drugs and alcohol?
The first time I came in contact with alcohol, it was at the age of 5. Um, I don't think by coming in contact with alcohol at the age of 5 that I became an alcoholic, but that was my first time. I think the turning point for me becoming an alcoholic and a drug addict was at the age of 12.
So who gave you alcohol at 5?
Well, my mom and dad, it was at a gathering and they thought it was fun. And, for a 5-year-old, that's way too young for your adults to give you alcohol. And you have to understand that I have two parents that are alcoholics too. So that's pretty common amongst parents that are alcoholics. They think that it's just one of those common things that they do. They just give their kids alcohol.
And so who gave you drugs and alcohol at 12?
Oh, just as a young teenager, hanging around my peers, it was real common to test out things, and we testing out beer and wine, and that led into marijuana. So I had a liking to it, and having parents that are alcoholics too, when I look back at it, genetically could have had something to do with my alcoholism and my drug addiction. So I don't have any facts on that. So, but that's just a guess.
So did you decide that when you became an adult, you wanted to drink?
Yes, I wanted to do it more so as I became of age because, starting at 12 and from 12 to 38 for 26 years, that's what I did regularly. And it went from alcohol to weed to snorting cocaine to smoking crack. So just trying out a lot of other things. And for 26 years,
Yeah.
that's how I got addicted.
What made you decide to stop?
Well, my life was very unmanageable. There was a time where I became homeless, and I decided that this wasn't a way of life that I wanted to live, and I knew that I needed to get help because I knew inside of myself that I was a better person, and what I was, by using drugs and alcohol, I was really killing myself, and I wanted to become a better person.
So what day did you stop using?
The day I stopped using was July 14th, 1998, but the night before, July 13th, 1998, I was so at a low point in my life. I was homeless, I was sleeping on the couch of a friend, and I prayed out to a God of my understanding at the time to help me because I knew had I continued to use drugs and alcohol, I would probably wind up dead. And my prayers were answered because July 14th, I was offered drugs the next day. And through the power of the request of a God of my understanding at the time, I was able to say no. And when I look back at that, I realized that it really wasn't me. It was that I was receiving help. And you hear that a lot too. And I trusted in that God. And that God today has a name. That God is Jehovah to me after almost 19 years. So I've come to know a God that has a name for me that has helped me in my walk of recovery.
And did you go through AA?
Yes, July 14th, after making that decision, I reached out to some treatment centers and I got in contact with a facility, and they told me the process, what I needed to do. You got to understand now, I don't have HMO, I don't have any money neither, and there's a state set-aside program that paid for me to go to a treatment center. And by going through that treatment center, I went there for 28 days, and after leaving there, I was fortunate enough to wind up in a sober housing, and I stayed there for 2.5 years. And by leaving there, I met my wife and got married. And I've been married now for almost 16 years out of the 19 years of recovery. So things just turn out for the best.
So, do you have any last words for other people who are trying to stay sober?
Well, my words to them would be don't give up, hang in there, and be open and honest about your disease and the problems that you have. And I pray that you can have someone that you trust that you can go to in times of need. But one of the key parts, I think, in the recovery process is that you may have to change the environment. And what I mean by that, geographically sometimes, and change the people that you're associated with. And I know relationships sometimes you can be very attached to them, and it hurts to leave ones that are using drugs and alcohol, but you have to separate yourself from them because your life depends on this. So this is not something that you're playing with. This is your life. So you want to be real serious about making changes in your life. And as the program has taught me, my closing words is there's only one thing you have to change, and that's everything. And trust me, it's not always easy with change because sometimes we're grounded and we're so committed into doing things the old-fashioned way, but we have to try to do something different. So for closing, what I'd like for you to do is go to my YouTube page, and if you have any comments, I'd like for you to subscribe to it. I'd like to get some feedback from you, because if I can be of help by doing this and putting myself out here, that's my purpose, to encourage and to support and to help you get the sobriety and live life on life terms. Peace.